Okay, hey, this is Larry Yeager at Yeager Cycle, and I got a little riding tip for you today, and I think it's a real important one. What is clutch friction zone, and why is it your best friend is kind of why I'm saying here. And the reason I say it's your best friend is because it is really what controls your speed at parking lot areas, tight, small tight areas where you're in around traffic. Obviously the brakes stop you, but the throttle, the more throttle you give it, the faster you're going to go. But you can hold this thing wide open. If you've got the clutch in, it ain't going to go nowhere. And if you are good enough and you practice enough to get to where the friction zone, you can really use the friction zone to control your speed, then you really have good control of the motorcycle. It's something that I practice every time that I ride. I get familiar with the friction zone if I change motorcycles, because each motorcycle has a kind of a different friction zone. So what is friction zone? That's always kind of the big question. A lot of people don't know that. So basically, friction zone is when you've got the clutch all the way in and you start to release the clutch and you start to feel the motorcycle to pull. That is the beginning of the friction zone, okay? So there is a range then where the friction zone is at. Once you get to where you continue to release the clutch lever, and it gets to where the engine RPM is matching ground speed, that means you're on the outside of the friction zone, basically is what that means. That means the clutch is totally disengaged or totally engaged, and the motorcycle is pulling 100%, no matter how much throttle you're giving. If you're at idle or you're at 2,000 engine RPM, no matter what it is. So the friction zone is to use that area in between those 2 points to control the speed of the vehicle or the speed of the motorcycle. And whether you're riding in tight areas, whether you're doing a cone competition, it is the most important thing to learn and to get good at is that clutch friction zone, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can practice clutch friction zone, kind of learn where it's at, how your motorcycle performs, where the friction zone is at, and then ways you can practice to get better at that yourself, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start this motorcycle up. And one way to do it, the best way to start learning your friction zone, start it, pull your clutch in, kick it in gear, just like that, and start slowly releasing that clutch till you feel the bike pull on it. Once you feel it to pull the clutch back in and rock the motorcycle back, just like that. Start releasing that clutch again, feel it start pulling forward. When it gets out here, pull it in, pull it back. So that is the beginning of the friction zone. I've learned that the brakeless method like that, to learn that brakeless stuff is the best way to really get a feel or get intimate, is what I would say, with your friction zone and really know what it likes and where it's at. And again, another thing to keep in mind when you change motorcycles, I'm kind of spoiled. I got 2 or 3 different bikes I ride, and each one of them has a different range of friction zone. Harley Davidson has changed their clutch 2 or 3 times in the last 10 years. And when they've done that, it changes the friction zone around. So you've got to get familiar with that every time that you ride. So once you get a good feel of that, if all of this I'm talking to you about is Greek, you have no idea what friction zone is and it still doesn't make any sense, or you've never heard that term, I would highly suggest that you get enrolled into a basic rider class. Each state's got them. There's some great programs, and one of the early things they teach you is what clutch friction zone is and how to use it and why it's your friend. And like I say, get intimate with it. Figure out how to use it. Figure out what it likes. And you will become a better rider if you do that, I promise. Good luck to you. Thank you.